So in this presentation by Chris Kiefer from Boolean Automation, he talks about building freedom into your business by leveraging automation and the possibilities of AI and what you should be thinking about. Stay tuned because this specific presentation can help you save a ton of time and help you increase production and profitability in your business. This is very relevant for any home improvement or home service contractor. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. Well, you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, and take it away.
Yeah, I think I'll actually jump straight into a story, and I like stories. So rather than giving you something that you can see on my bio online, here's a little bit about me. All right, so November 2007, I found myself at the free throw line of the opening game of my junior year, and we're down by 2 points. There's about 30 seconds left, and I've got 2 free throws to make, and if I make them, we tie it, send it into overtime. So I'm at the free throw line, miss both free throws. Game, we lose it, go in the locker room, and I'm like absolutely devastated. And the reason I was devastated is because those weren't the only 2 free throws that I had missed that day. I actually missed 15 free throws in that game. I went 2 for 17 from the line that night, and we lose by 2 points. And the last thing, as you can imagine, was I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was just, by myself. I had my jersey over my head, and I'm sitting in the locker room, and I was going to wait everybody out. So I'm sitting there, just at first I'm crying, then I'm pissed at myself. Someone else tells me, "Hey, it's okay, Chris, it doesn't come down to 1 shot." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it comes down to 15 shots. We're not going to win any games if I can't make, at least 50% of my free throws, let alone how bad it was tonight." And so I'm just like sitting there, and I said, "You know what? This is never going to happen again." And I don't know how many of you ever had moments like that in life where you're like, this is the worst place that I've ever been in. And I refuse to ever see myself in this place again. So I'm sitting there, and I decide I'm going to go make 100 free throws that night in the gym before I go home. And I'm going to then commit to doing free throws every day for the rest of the season. And so but I don't want anyone else to see this. So I'm waiting. I probably waited in there for 45 minutes. Everybody goes home. My coach checks on me. He's like, "Hey, the janitor's here, and I told your parents what's going on, but, take your time, whatever." So I exit the locker room, and I go in the gym to shoot, and it's open gym. It's like my heaven, just peacefulness, right? I go to the free throw line, and as I'm about to take my first shot, I look over to the side, and I see in the corner of my eye, in the top row of the bleachers, there's Terry Kiefer, my dad, just waiting. And he had waited there for 45 minutes for me to come out. And I'm like absolutely pissed that he is over there. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I waited. I don't want to talk. I don't need your pep talk and come down and tell me how it's going to be okay." And he didn't say anything to me. He comes down off the bleachers, and he starts rebounding for me and just passing the ball back. And I'm making my shots. I get my 100 shots done. We end up never talking about that night again. It's probably one of the best memories that I have of my dad. And it happened because my dad was physically present, and he just waited for his son. So why the hell am I talking about this story to open this up? And that's because for me, this idea, the important thing about that story was about 4 years, about 4 years later from that day, my dad died suddenly of pancreatic cancer. So I bring this up because technology is something I'm deeply, deeply passionate about. And at Boolean, I've heard Joe Papa said some stuff that really resonates with me. Dennis Yu said similar things. Technology is great, but what I believe is that technology needs to be used to free up ourselves and our people in the business to do what we actually love doing. So the mission at Boolean, and this is the company that I started, is to free up contractors. And in particular, we go very deep in the painting world specifically. But any contractor can get value from the content and the stuff that we're putting out. But our mission is to free you guys up to do what you love doing. That's like, at the end of the day, one of my favorite quotes is, and this is so relevant in the wake of AI and technology and everything, is that if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. And I don't know how many of you think I'm busy right now. I'm drowning in work. Maybe type busy in the chat if that's you. But if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. This is something I heard about 6 months ago, and it's really just stuck with me because I've got kids now, and there's AI, and there's all this stuff that I'm going to talk to you about today. And believe me, I am a absolute nerd when it comes to this. But just like you just said, Danny, if you're leveraging AI and tech so that you can just be busier, I would caution you in that pursuit, right? We have to be intentional about how we're using AI to remove the mundane, boring tasks that we don't like and that we don't want to do, so that we can spend time at our kids' basketball games or fishing or, reading that book or going on a date with your spouse or your significant other, whatever it is. That's what I'm most passionate about. So I have a podcast, as Danny said, but what we do at Boolean is we automate businesses and we eliminate almost 80% of the data entry that goes on in a business can now be like completely vaporized because of AI and technology. So what I'm going to talk about today is how in 3 years, there's going to be two types of businesses. There's going to be those who have fully implemented AI and those who are going out of business. And this is a pretty bold claim to make, but I'll tell you why I believe this so strongly. And that is when you are in the world that we are in, and I know that Joe and Dennis and Danny, you guys can attest to this as well. The technology, which if you thought technology was moving fast, I don't remember which speaker said, every 6 months, there's like this, like a new cycle of evolution of everything. And just that time is getting compressed. And the reason why I am convinced that this is true is because of this tech tidal wave. This is what I call it. So right now we are in the midst of an absolute onslaught of new apps, new technology, new things, features, voice assistants, all this tech that is just coming into the world and solving all these very niche, minute problems that we never thought was possible. I'm a big Tesla fan. They're now talking about their humanoid robot that you could buy theoretically in 2 years, or Elon time, it's like 5 years, maybe 10. But there's this stuff is a reality, and it's absolutely mind-boggling when you start looking at some of these numbers. 1,070. This is how many apps are developed every single day on the Apple App Store. So, and this is a 2022 statistic. So in 2022, there was 1,000 new applications just on the Apple App Store every day. So the reason I bring this up is because it's really hard to get a sense of how many apps are, published anywhere on web-based apps, server-based apps, Apple, Android, whatever. The point is that there are thousands of new technology getting created every day. And what AI, the reason that matters is because the developers of these apps are now leveraging AI to help them program faster. And it's allowing people that have ideas for applications to create apps that would have taken them millions of dollars. They're now able to condense down time and make apps faster. And then you have other AI that are just literally building apps by themselves. And all of these apps, in my opinion, are what we need to be paying attention to as businesses. I always clarify, I'm not affiliated with any of these apps. I just like to tell people, our company is deep in the integration space. We don't make any software, except for we have one software that helps with Google reviews, but outside of that, we are experts in.
Hey there, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you're finding it helpful. We're putting a lot of effort to bring you more content just like this. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you know of anyone that might find this helpful, share the love. Hit that share button, send them a text message, or send them a Facebook message, or share it to a Facebook group. Thanks for watching.
In integrating all of the apps that your business needs to succeed together. So this is one that I found about 6 months ago, that literally you can send all PDF invoices, all email invoices that you get from your vendors to a single email address. And this AI starts processing and learning and gets better and smarter over time. And the example that they gave was it can take a 15-page PDF with 25 different job numbers on it from a vendor and split up the costs of every single one of those jobs to the correct job number inside of your QuickBooks. And it literally reduces this by 1/10. The next, I'm just going to go through these very quickly here. There's a hoist where you can type in an address of a job or of a potential customer that you're going to, and it will literally integrate with RMLS data, and it produces a quote for that house, a ballpark that, you know, is within a couple $1,000s of the actual quote. And you can remove rooms. It knows how many rooms, knows the square footage, the size. It's insane. Hover, if you guys have used this, you can take photos and upload photos, and it generates takeoffs purely from photos. They've got a new thing where it's literally making like dollhouse views, or like if you've got to do a remodel or something. The software is just insane, taking takeoffs from literal construction blueprint plans and reducing the time that would take to seconds instead of hours. Company Cam has a new feature where you can go around and document by taking pictures. And while you're taking pictures, you just are narrating what it is that you're taking pictures of as you walk through a job site. And then it literally creates a scope with like summarized text and photos in line as like a PDF of the project that you're going to be doing. Protiv is another tool that is an incentivizing app or program that uses the project budget and compares it to your actual hours submitted, and gives crews the ability to find out how they can earn a bonus by working more productively or faster on that particular project. In Think Unlimited, enriching lead data, Rilla, voice or recording virtual ride-alongs. And then the software that we have, Boolean, is now taking data from your CRM and project management system and literally writing drafts of reviews that are then texted to the customers. So to save them time. So instead of saying like, hey, can you leave us a review? We're sending a picture of the crew leader they talked to, the name of the receptionist that they spoke with, their sales rep, the supervisor, like any other information that we can extract, we're sending out. And then we're also feeding that to AI and saying, hey, to save you guys time, here's a review based on your project type and the scope of work and everything else that we already have. Here's an example of a review that you could leave. And I'm telling you, it is absolutely mind-boggling how good these AI generated reviews are, because it has so much context that it's able to give really, really accurate or realistic reviews. And the best part is, Dennis, you would like this, you can tell the AI to include, when relevant, the specific keywords that your future customers are going to search for in your, like on Google, so that when Google's indexing the contents of your reviews, instead of someone saying, I love my new garage floor, you could have the AI be placing in, polyurea concrete coating every time that particular project type was used. And now it's including that in the review. So take a breath. I talk fast when I get excited about this stuff. The question that I want to ask all of you is, there's this storm, this huge tidal wave, and how are you guys as a business going to leverage this and not get left behind, right? So I believe that technology does not scale contracting businesses. So I'm a huge fan of technology. I love technology. I'm a big advocate. I think you should be using technology. But to be clear, people and processes are what scale businesses. So if you don't think that if you don't think that I just realized that my video, or it said start my video. Danny, has my video been on?
No, I thought it
But
was. Yeah, I thought you did it on purpose, but you're good. You're good.
but you've seen my screen.
I see your screen fine. Yes, you're
Got
fine.
it. Okay. Well, you haven't been seeing me like punch the screen and all that stuff that
Not
I've been
yet.
doing, but so the technology does not scale contracting businesses, people and processes do. So the reason I think that's important is because I always tell people, if you don't have, so like, I'm here to tell you about AI and how you're going to be able to leverage this. But if you have a poor business and you don't have the right people and you don't have systems and processes, adding AI and technology to your business is just an acceleration of the decline of your business. But if you have good people and you have good processes, AI can remove the friction and increase your growth tremendously, just as fast as it helps take a bad business down. Does that make sense? All right. So this is how I look at any model. So you could take this for the entire business, the business engine. You could look at your sales process like this. You could look at your marketing, you could look at your finance, whatever it is. But every process has people, or every system in the business has people, and then it has processes. And those are the two things that you have to have. And I would say this next thing is the number one thing that all contracting businesses, or any business for that matter, needs to be thinking about as we head into the next 3 years. And that is clean data. There we go. Clean data. So the clean data piece, I'm going to define what this is, but that is a critical piece because it completes this feedback loop of allowing your people to do the people things that we want people to do. And I think, Joe, you said the exact same thing that I would say. Then there's processes that you want your people to be following. And then the clean data is the structure of all the information in your business relevant to particular projects that you're going to need to generate reports so that your people know where to focus their time and then complete the cycle and go again. Does that make sense? All right. So when you have the people side, this is like, I like to think about like when I say people, what am I talking about? What should those people be doing? They're doing the work of the work. So I think, again, this is, someone mentioned this earlier, but this is like, you need to find all of the things that are not human centric or focusing on what humans are really good at doing. And if it's mundane or repeatable, it's probably not something a person should do. But the work of the work, at least at this point, Tesla's humanoid robots are not capable of, painting houses and doing the plumbing under a kitchen sink and all that stuff. Maybe that'll come, but I think we're a ways away from that. But the people should be building rapport, having real conversations with your customers on the phone, developing trust. It's hard. Like, people have a love-hate relationship with technology. So if you don't have people that are, building relationship with your customers and building trust, you're going to struggle. And then I still think there's a lot of automation that can happen in the sales world, but the sales rep, like taking it through the finish line, is still a really big piece of what people need to be doing. Leveraging tech to make sales reps, enabling them to do more, is definitely something you should do. But I still think you need a really relationship-driven sales department in any contracting business. Processes. So the processes are anything that is repeatable, predictable, automatable, and consistent. So when you have that, and this is I have an example coming up here in a second about getting Google reviews, for example. But if there's anything that happens multiple times, or it's something that you need to, or what a process enables is your ability to predict the likelihood of an outcome, because of, we know that when we follow the process, we have a 99% satisfaction rate, right? And then when you have all these repeatable processes and you add in the automation, now you can make sure that these are being done exactly the same way every single time. And then the clean data piece. So defining what this is. Clean data, or you have clean data in your business if you have a single source of truth. So what that would mean is that your marketing, your sales, and your production are all aligned. We're all talking about the same numbers. I don't know how many of you have been in situations where your marketing team reports the number of leads that they got, and the sales team's like, we didn't get that many leads. Like, I only went on 5 bids last week. What are you talking about? Like, if there's not a single source of truth, you're going to have misalignment, which causes friction and tension, and people don't know what data they're able to trust. Clean data is the foundation of streamlining your reporting. So if you can get everything to a single place, you can do things like have sales meeting agendas generated by AI in minutes or seconds, I should say, as opposed to sales managers taking hours crunching all the numbers of how the thing went last week, or just not talking about sales numbers because they don't have them. And then this is probably, and I was so pumped that Danny, you put Joe before me, because Joe, you said this. I don't know if anyone else remembers. He said the most difficult part of leveraging this voice AI or the voice assistant is what? Does anyone remember? What's the hardest part for Joe and his team and every other tech company out there? Anybody? Bueller?
Say integration.
Integration. And so that is the back to when we're talking about this technology tidal wave. If you have clean data, I can guarantee you that if Joe worked with any one of our clients that have clean data, he would have the lowest bill for integration of any of the other clients, because your systems are prepared to take on these new apps that are getting developed. If you don't have clean data and your information is chaos and there's 12 different Google Sheets that you're running your business on, or you have stuff on paper and whiteboards, and people have, messages from clients on their cell phone and it's not centralized, good luck trying to take something like a voice assistant and adding it to your business. You might be able to get it connected, but it's just going to be another disconnected thing that works in the marketing silo, and there's no feedback coming from how are the leads that we're getting from this voice assistant comparing to our other leads, because we don't know the profitability or the conversion rate or any of that stuff. What's the average job size of those? And when you have all these systems connected and you have clean data, being able to leverage this new tech and the new things that are coming down the pipe are going to be possible for you. And that's the difference between businesses that don't have clean data are going to be the ones going out of business in 3 years, and the businesses that have clean data are the ones that are going to be thriving.
Question for you, Chris, while you're moving, and if it's okay to ask, I just want anyone who has questions, feel free to ask questions here. How many data points do you see on average? Say you work with a lot of painting contractors or home improvement contractors. How many data points on average do these contractors running multi-million-dollar businesses have to integrate together and make work?
I love that question. So I would say there's 2 components. I would say on average, a typical contracting business is going to have somewhere between 7 and 12 apps. And then, so that's like applications. So I'm talking about like Gmail, Google Calendar, your CRM system, your sales tool, your project management. Those are the apps that we're talking about. Then, as far as data points, the number that I like talking about is, in order to do one project and to get that lead, track it, get your creation dates and when it was scheduled and all the information that finance needs to invoice and all that stuff, there's on average between 100 and 150 data points per project that exist for any job that you process. So if you organize your data well, most of those data points can be automatically filled with information that is able to be contextually added to that. But more importantly, where I see people like literally bleeding from their eyeballs is if you imagine that many different data points and somebody's job is copying data from my CRM system to my estimating tool, then back to my CRM system, then to my project management system. And then like all that stuff is disconnected for most businesses. That is not clean data. And oftentimes what happens is either those data points are inconsistent. So like maybe you put the phone number in wrong in one place and then you corrected it in another, but the other place that you put it in incorrectly didn't get updated. Like all those types of things are symptoms of a lack of clean data for
Mm,
businesses.
that's so good.
Great
Thank you for
question though.
clarifying. Yes.
All right. So this again is just a very small example of when you have the people, the processes, and clean data together, the difference that this makes. So when we're talking about Google reviews specifically, everybody knows, and Dennis, you would tell you as well, Google reviews are absolutely critical to SEO in today's world. So when you have a process or your entire system of how do we get Google reviews, if it's just a people focused or people centric system and you're only relying on people, you'd have somebody who's either calling or texting customers every time a job is complete to ask for a review. And what would happen is this would be very consistent when things are slow, when things get busy. It might not happen as often, but it's going to be intermittently successful because it's a repeatable, mundane, boring process. And it's generally not as critical as someone that has the incorrect invoice or someone that has a callback and they need that taken care of immediately. Like the reviews are going to slip when you're depending on people. And more importantly, I would say, even if you have a person in your business that you're paying to do this, it's taking their time away from the thing that they probably would love doing, which again, our mission, free you up to do what you love. If there's any type of process that is repeatable, I would say don't have somebody do that. Have them do the thing that is more like life-giving and exciting for humans that also happens to be the thing that's going to grow your business. Then when you have the process or people with process, we have increased consistency because now it's like rather than it being in somebody's head or different people doing it slightly differently, it's like, hey, every time a job is complete, you want to complete this checklist. And so you have a checklist and it's like, hey, make sure the invoice is paid, then copy this template and paste it into this message and send it to the client. And then 2 days later, follow up. And now we have increased consistency. It's more efficient. Fewer jobs slip through the cracks, right? But what's not possible in both of these scenarios is what I'm about to show you over here, which is when you actually bring in clean data, not only do we now fully automate the process, but you can also start making these requests 10 times more personalized. You can bring in AI to do the drafts like I was talking about. You can have AI start responding to reviews. You can have much more personalized. And this again was the Dennis, you was talking about his conversion rates. And I think this is another example. Imagine the difference between the conversion rate of a request that is sent to a client that says, thanks so much for working with us. Please leave us a review with a URL versus getting a text from somebody that has a crew leader that was just at your house, their headshot that says, hey, Nathan, thanks so much for working with us. Here's all the details of the people that you interacted with on your project. And it says your crew leader's name was Dennis, your sales rep was John, the receptionist that you spoke with was Mary. And if you'd mind, here's a link to leave a review, right? Like the relevance to the person that's receiving that message, it goes through the subconscious spam filter that we have, and it leads them to leave, a higher conversion rate of getting the person to leave the review to begin with. They include stories, and we know that this process is happening 100% of the time because it's all three of those things integrated. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And this is the thing. It's what you've been able to accomplish here. Now, you're about to show us here. I want everyone to pay close attention because this in itself, if you just take one thing out of this entire conversation, everyone needs more 5-star reviews on Google. The clients that are very satisfied, oftentimes they don't feel the need to leave you a review. But what Chris is about to show you here on Veil is extremely powerful from an SEO perspective. A lot of you guys are asking, what else can I do? Dennis, you has talked to you guys what you can start utilizing, but this right here the personalization and being thorough, it makes an incredible difference when it comes to rankability of any client. So that being said, I just wanted people to understand the importance of this, because this is revenue generating right here. This is an amplifier for your ability to close jobs and all of that. Yeah.
100%. And I like to say that, you know, people tracking 5-star reviews in your business, that's obviously great. It's good to focus on that. But clearly, not all 5-star reviews are created equal. This is an example of a competitor, of a client of ours, and a client of ours that's using our system. And you can see, like, you know, good people did all we asked, 5 stars. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. It's like, and then you have somebody else that is including photos and mentioning the services that were happening, mentioned like keywords, stucco, wood defects, and then adding employee names. This is the difference of having a software that, or I mean, at the end of the day, our software would be nothing if clients didn't have clean data. If you don't have things centralized, we're not going to be able to extract as much out. And that's the other thing that I can't overstate enough, is that how many of you, again, you're all here at the AI Summit, as you said before, you've all used ChatGPT or other things like that, right? So my question is, how many of you have just asked ChatGPT a one-line question and then been like, wow, that's crazy, it came up with a bunch of stuff? Not really relevant, but still cool that it can like just expand and fill in the gaps and assume stuff, right? And that's cool as like seeing what it's capable of. But in a practical business use case, the more context that you give ChatGPT, the better answer it's going to give you. And I would tell you, for anyone that uses ChatGPT, the most valuable prompt or prompt adjustment that I've ever received, and I use it every single time, is you ask whatever you want to ask ChatGPT, and then you ask ChatGPT before submitting it, what other questions do you need me to answer in order for you to answer my original question? Do that with anything that you ask it. And so now it's just like guiding you through, like, hey, write me a contract, and it'll make a contract for you. But the contract's gonna have nothing to do with what you need. But if you're like, write me a contract, what other questions do you have for me to be able to write the best contract possible? And then it's going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff that you just replied. This is the answer to that. This is the answer to that. And watch the difference. And that's the same thing when you have clean data, all these different use cases of AI. And I even would emphasize, I just showed you 10 different apps that I've learned about in the last 6 to 9 months that I didn't know existed before. And how many more apps are going to be created in the next 6 to 9 months that are going to be leveraging AI even more fully than the ones are today? And what is your business going to do if you don't have the data centralized so that AI has context to actually do something with that information? Because the context is the piece that is absolutely critical to actually be able to have people want to interact with that effectively. Like I was thinking, this is a not a critique, but a suggestion, I guess, Joe. Like when the AI said, are you, on the voice assistant example that you gave, are you a new customer or an existing customer? Like clean data would be able to see like, oh, hey, Chris, I see you're calling us again from your cell phone. This is an AI assistant. Like, welcome back. We're glad to have you. Like, that's the type of stuff and the transition that would be possible with clean data, because all that information is mixed. All right. So just some I don't know, the formatting of this thing did not convert very well to my Google Slides. But this is, again, the Boolean review software for any contracting business is absolutely insane when you have clean data in your business. So if you're not sure if you do, we can obviously help with that. But that's just like the clients that we've worked with are crushing the competition. And I would say that Boolean is in some ways very similar to other reputation management systems out there. But the difference is that our clients are wanting to be the best, like the number one HVAC person in their market, the number one painter in their market, the number one garage door person in their market, and they're wanting to crush the competition. So it's not for everybody. It's not the cheapest software out there, but it is hands down the best for contracting services. Now, I have some examples, and I'm actually curious, Danny, I'll let you kind of decide. I was going to go through my favorite automations and AI related things that I like people using, and I tried to pick ones that would be most applicable to the broadest number of contracting verticals. I can start going through those. We could pause for some questions. What do you think would be most valuable?
Yes, I want to check in with the people here. This is incredible. First and foremost, Dean, thank you for staying put here. Are you finding this valuable? Type in value. I always like to check in with the value if you're in with Chris here. Yeah, it's incredible value. What I think would be great is if you just give us the rundown for what you have planned out. It's just we're with you. We have a lot of people that are sending me private messages here. So you've given us enough, but I'm telling you what would help out the majority of the individuals here are business owners. We have a good segment there on the smaller side. And there is another segment that is in the scaling side, meaning $2+ million in revenue, etc. So we have the entire spread here. So I want to make sure we can give some each one of those to
Awesome.
something they can take home. Yeah.
So obviously we've got human tasks and computer related tasks. I won't get too, I don't think it's worth wasting some time on here. The one big thing that I would tell everybody is before you start any integration of AI or automation of any kind, you need to make a plan. And the structure of the plan that you're making is what's going to allow for more automation or AI to be involved in more parts of the process. So I always say solve for the 80% of the deals or the projects that you're working on. It's very tempting when you're talking about AI to just throw in like, well, what about when, this thing happens? Like, well, how often does that happen? Oh, once a year. It's like, well, we're not using AI and automation for that. That's where you insert the human to solve that problem. And then you want to identify what's the most optimal time to insert AI to do a specific task. And that's only possible once you make the structure and the plan. And then this is a very technical piece here, but cross-referencing unique IDs. So this is when you're integrating apps together, whether you're using an AI assistant of some kind or a Zapier connection. If you have, let's say, a CRM system and a project management system, each of those softwares have a unique identifier for every record that exists. So like you might call the deal, whatever the job number is that you use, but in the background of that app, there is a unique identifier for that deal that you want to pass over to your project management system and basically cross-pollinate, I like to say, the unique ID from my CRM over to my project management, and then the unique ID from my project management back to my CRM. And that allows you to then call and reference and update and sync different objects in different systems with 100% accuracy because you've done that. So those are the 5 biggest things that I would say when you're getting into doing the stuff I'm about to show you. Keep this in mind, because if you jump into just automating without having a plan and making sure that you've mapped out your customer journey, the stuff that I'm showing you will be cool and you might actually have success at it, but it's not going to be long-lived because you're going to want to continue to add stuff, and it's not going to take long before things start crumbling because you didn't have a blueprint to begin with.
Yeah,
So,
I would like to add something in there. Don't over optimize in the beginning. Like if you don't have a plan, and go back to the top 5 if you can. Yeah, sorry, I chimed in
sorry,
here.
backwards. Yeah.
Go backwards one more
yep.
right there. Everyone take a screenshot here. This is very powerful. We deal with clients who use multiple systems, and I can tell you that oftentimes is the over optimization or lack of plan, and they just want 2 systems to talk to each other. Let me just say this: when one platform changes something in their either it could be this authentication or whatever it may be, and we need to resync, and they might change some fields without understanding the unique IDs or the trigger sequence and having that mapped out in itself, it makes the entire thing just an entire headache. And the rebuilds on these things are not simple a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about the plan and If you could just clear up, for the 80% of the deals here, if you can touch just a little bit more on that, because I believe sometimes we want to automate the entire thing, and
Yeah.
we don't need to do that to build efficiency, right?
100%. Yeah. I would say that I'll use the painting business as an example again. Like if we're saying, all right, we want to streamline our process and make it easier so that there's less human touch points on our end to get a deal from, the lead to getting the quote and into production, right? So it's very tempting for people to say, well, sometimes we do this and sometimes this happens. And the best way I can suggest to get around this is like, all right, did you go on a quote last Wednesday? Yes. Okay. What did you do? Pick a quote on Wednesday that you went to and just randomly select one. And then like talk about it. Like statistically, you probably picked a pretty common deal that for you guys, and say, okay, how would we have eliminated or mapped out what was going to happen for this deal? And then like after you have a rough plan, then randomly select another deal and be like, does this plan work for this and that? And if that makes sense, you're working towards like, again, we don't want perfection. We're just trying to save time. So I've heard another moniker that I like is the 10-80-10 rule, right? You should spend 10% of your time like doing the thing that the computer can't do, or prepping the AI to do the heavy lifting, which would be like, the classic, you're in high school and you got to write a paper, spend 10% of your time crafting a really good prompt, then have AI create the essay, which is 80% of the work. And then you spend 10% of the time revising. And, let's use a realistic example for us, the blogs, right? That's the 10-80-10 is AI can do 80% of the work, but you can't just set it free to do that without prepping. And then there's always needs to be, at least for now, some human touch at the end to refine it and make it relevant. So does that answer that question?
So good. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's for everyone here. Just anyone you work with, just do understand that's part of it. It's there's going to be still some human element, and that's why Chris's model really works.
Yeah.
Because you're including the human, not removing it and automating the entire thing. Yeah.
So I skipped a couple of the slides that you probably saw them flash across the screen, but I have to get to these before our time's up. This is a huge one. If you are a professional sales organization, your bids are educational, informative, and you put a lot of time into your sales, this is absolute game changer. Ask your prospects to leave you reviews after you give the estimate. So ask them to just review the estimate process. So they're not reviewing your business. They're just saying, hey, we put a lot of time and effort into this. Would you mind leaving a 1 to 5 star rating on how our estimate process was? And I'm telling you, like these are actual reviews that people have gotten, where the customer is saying like the initial appointment went very well, polite, professional, thorough, cost of the project seems reasonable, ball is in our court now. So we don't even know if they're a client, but they're just like, yeah, the estimate was great, they were super informative. Not yet, but very impressed. So it's like that was a kind of a funny review, but that's a 5-star review, right? Or Ryan was very professional, on time, did a complete job. He was friendly, engaging, knew his stuff. My decision is to not have my garage, but it had nothing to do with Ryan or the product. It was simply financial on my part. 5 stars. And the thing that's crazy, if you guys have a 40% conversion rate on your sales, and you're only asking 40% of the leads coming into your business for reviews, you're missing out on a massive opportunity of people that actually enjoyed the interaction with your business, and you just are only focusing on the people that you actually paid you. But you're forgetting that. I always think of it as like, I'm paying $160 for this lead. The least they could do is give me a Google review. You know what I mean? Like, capitalize on that. This is another big one. I'm a big fan of the niche tech. So have a really solid CRM, the HubSpots of the world. Use that as your CRM because it integrates so well. And then find the best quoting tool in your industry, whichever vertical you're in, that does a great job of building quotes. And then you can connect your CRM. So when a lead comes in, here's an example of another really cool automation. is that you can say, I put in the information of the estimate that I just scheduled, and I can have it go to my calendar. I can send it to the customer calendar. I can create a company cam project. I can send a confirmation text, a confirmation email. I can make the quote and have it templated out so it's ready for my estimator. I can even make the deal inside my CRM and the contact. All of that can happen by someone in your office who's talking to the person on the phone, literally putting in that information one time, and then all of this stuff is created. It's all linked together, all by automation and AI. So now when I put the details in the quote and I send it, guess what? The deal inside of HubSpot is automatically updated to stage bid sent, and the dollar amounts in there and the hours on the project is all taken care of. And so I just would say again, this is all when you map out the process first. This wouldn't have been possible if someone didn't first sit down and say, okay, when we schedule an estimate, what happens from the time that they say, schedule me at 2 o'clock on Thursday to the time when our estimator shows up at the house. And then you list out every single thing that the person has to do. And guess what? 80% of that could probably be done by a computer. But it's only possible if you make the plan and then you start building out the automation. I just mentioned this briefly, but after you send the quote, you can actually have it go sync back and update your CRM. So if you guys have a quote software that you're using and the numbers in your quoting software are different from the numbers in your CRM system, probably because there's not an integration that's automatically syncing those two together. Another big thing is, I would say, when you win a job, there's a temptation for people to have the information from your CRM go to the estimating tool and then automatically send that data to QuickBooks or your project management. I discourage that strongly. I would recommend doing it this way, where you go from your CRM out to the estimate software, back to your CRM. So now your CRM's in sync, and then your sales rep approves and pushes it to your project management or QuickBooks or whatever it is after that. That's a big issue for people if you have just, again, systems that are out of sync. It's generally because you're forgetting to update the apps that need to be updated along the process. And I think I have one more here for you. This one is just I made a video on my YouTube channel for this. This is a little more technical, but I think this is just so freaking awesome if you are a sales rep or you're doing sales for your company. So just look at this. I have set up an automation where I can say, hey, Siri, I'm running late. And Siri will open up and that's all. It'll just say done. Like it's using this app on Mac called Shortcuts. And what it's doing is, it just from right then, all I say is I'm running late. It goes to my Google Calendar and it looks at the next upcoming event that is happening that hasn't happened yet. Oh, my Siri's talking. You guys see that in the corner? You heard me.
I have my Siri listening to you.
Okay. So it looks at Google, the Google Calendar event, and then it finds my current location on my phone. It looks at the address of that upcoming appointment that's in the calendar. And then because I put my customer information into the calendar event, it's able to extract the person's cell phone number, and it's able to send a message to the customer that says, hey, this is Chris or hey, Chris, this is John from Acme Painting. I'm running late. I should be there in about 35 minutes. And that whole thing happens in the background because I said, as I'm driving, don't want to be texting and driving. Hey, Siri, I'm running late. Boom. All that stuff happens in the background and automatically text the customer. And this is like the type of stuff, like this probably isn't super high value for, I gotta stop saying Siri. There we go. All right. So anyways, this probably isn't the most commonly used, but it's things like this that are possible. Again, I just can't emphasize enough. This wouldn't be possible if your Google Calendar events didn't have all that rich information of the project and the customer and the address and all that. If you're just making events on the fly and sometimes you put it in, sometimes you don't, that's not going to be possible. But if you have a system that every single time your Google Calendar events look identical with all the known information, it gives you power to do stuff like this. So I think that's all I have. If anyone is interested, I have a YouTube channel my belief, I'm just coming from this place of abundance. I give away literally every single thing that we do, including the software, like the software that we sell. I show you how you could basically hack together a more or less working version of it using Zapier and whatever other automation tools you want. But there's tutorials on my YouTube channel of that. And then for those of you that are like, you know what, I just would rather have someone I want a trustworthy and reliable system to just own it and dominate the reviews. That's the software that we sell, if that makes sense. But everything else is like, we want to teach you how to leverage this. So what I put together specifically for this event was 5 ways, and these are all tutorial videos, that if you are a DIY user, you can follow this. It'll send you the videos, and you can, things like having, when a review comes in, you can have it respond, like AI respond to that review dynamically. And if it's a less than a 4-star review, it could have a response that gets sent, but then text your owner like, hey, this bad review just came in. Like, there's a whole bunch of different things like that, but it's the top 5 ways that I would say people should be using AI in their review process to get more reviews. And then if you're interested, obviously we can show you our software, but I'm a DIY guy myself, and I like to learn from people that are just sharing their knowledge. So that's what we do as well. And yeah, we got what, 7 minutes or something. So I'll let Danny, you
Absolutely.
can wrap it up.
Yes. Can you post the link to this page here on the chat? We got the
I
YouTube
can, yep.
channel team. Anyone that's still here, make sure you subscribe, hit on that YouTube link, and give Chris Kiefer a follow. If you can post the landing page link, that would be amazing. Here, it's been an incredible session here. I'd like to open it up. Okay, there's the link there. Renzo just posted it right into the chat. Team, make sure you click on it, get the bonuses. I love Chris's content. I'm a consumer of your content. So when I was putting together this AI summit, I said, Chris got to be here. Team, I want you to do me a favor. If you gotten one idea that you can grab and start thinking about how you can implement it in your business out of today's summit, type in idea into the chat. Type in idea. I know Emily has been blowing up my Slack during your presentation, Chris. So you must be doing something really good here. She's like checking in and like, are we doing this? What's going on, Chris presentation? But it's been really good to have you guys. Chris, what are you seeing that contractors, home improvement contractors, are not doing enough when it comes to AI?
All contractors, I would say it's probably just using any sort of tech, including AI. I would say the simplest thing is just like I'm trying to think of like one top thing, but I would say literally at our company, and we're not in the field building homes or doing HVAC services or whatever, but we work with those people. And I would say the number of ways that we like, I get like frustrated if I know that an employee of mine wrote out a long email by hand themselves. It's like, why didn't you just feed the meeting transcript into AI, have it generate a follow-up email for you, and then proofread it, make sure it makes sense? Like those types of things that's where my head's at. But I would say that, I mean, I guess I would go back to, that's why I was thinking of all the things that I could share. I do think that there are dozens, regardless of the size of your business, it's at least dozens, but if you're a bigger company, hundreds of Google reviews that people are leaving on the table. And I still think that people don't have any idea how valuable, and of all the places to focus your effort, like crushing the competition on Google reviews, it helps your leads. It moves you to the top of the list on SEO. Your sales team can use it when they're in the field and you're trying to close a deal, and you can just point to objective proof that you do what you say you're going to do. And can the other guy that said they were $100 cheaper say the same thing? It's like, I just feel like every time we talk to somebody, they're, even the ones that are doing well, there's still room for improvement there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I would highly encourage you guys to check out the YouTube channel. There's quite a bit of information shared when it comes to automations, not just from like the review gathering, but also other internal processes. Oh, I love what you're doing there with Boolean. Yes, yes. Show some of the even VA hiring process. That's all amazing.
Yeah.
Um, that's all amazing. What type of questions are you getting from people right now that's like in hot demand when it comes to AI or automations?
I would say the biggest thing that people ask is like, how do we get started, or how do I
Yes.
do this? And so that's where I've been spending more of my time, focusing my energy is just like trying to, we call it the data blueprint at
Mhm.
Boolean, but
Okay.
I would say what I tell people all the time is like, um, and we actually have, if someone's interested, I don't have it like formally packaged with a bow on it, but if someone's interested, you can put a message or send a message over to us through the form of like, hey, I'm interested in the data blueprint for my business. And I can send you the resources and stuff that we go through with people.
Yes.
But it's basically like, I would say, I have seen far too often, and you mentioned it just a second ago, the worst thing that can happen to a contractor business that's trying to automate things is that they start doing it without a blueprint, and then they have success. And the reason that that's bad is because they have early success and they think they're on the right track, and everything's, they've saved some time here and they've saved some time there. But what ends up happening is they get to a place where stuff starts breaking and
Mhm.
they can't go forward and do more stuff because their foundation was never built. And so the only way to move forward is to wipe everything that you've done and start over. How are you
Mhm.
going to do that when your business is depending on those broken processes? Like it's absolutely, it is like you said, it's harder to repair automations. And I would say, yeah, it is 10 times harder. So
Troubleshooting.
it's,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And the number of
Yes.
times that we talk to people and they say like, we tried Zapier and it didn't work, or now we did this and we're having issues with it. And it's like, okay, have you like show me like a workflow or a map of your like customer journey.
That's
And
good.
I'll just pull this up because this is like a good example of like giving you a hint if you're going in the right direction. So I'm just going to pick a random company here that we work with. And here's a diagram. This is a concrete coatings company that works with us. But here's a diagram of the customer journey from start to finish. And this is made before we start automating. So we make this whole process of like, okay, over at this side, I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but just to
Right.
show you
Right.
like what type of stuff you're going to include, they have a marketing company. So like Danny, if you guys with the marketing company, you're sending leads to your customer CRMs, and
Hmm.
we need to have a system and know what happens when a lead comes in. How does that affect the client system? And then
Mm.
what's the follow-up process? And so when I log a call to the customer, I want to automatically send email and text messages or generate deals or whatever. Or when I book an estimate, I want to update or create a contact, update or create a deal, make a quote, make a company cam project, make a Google Calendar. That's the one I showed you a second ago. But it's this type of stuff that is when you start doing this and mapping it out, like when you zoom out and look at the whole thing, it's like, oh my gosh, that looks intimidating. But just keep in mind, and that's why we put these boxes around it. Every single one of these things is just a micro process in your big system. So
Yes.
it's like, don't worry about the entire thing. Just zoom in on what happens when you book an estimate, or when I
Hmm.
send a deal, what do I want to have happen? And what about this scenario? And what if this happens? And then you start talking through those things. And Miro, I love because it's free, unless you have more than I think 4 users or something like that. But it's just a super cool like infinite whiteboard, and you can click and drag, and it's very very user friendly. But I'm a big advocate of diagramming it out like this.
This is the way to do it. And team, you see why Chris Kiefer is the best at what he does with his team at Boolean Systems. He's also the host of Pursuit of Purpose podcast. Make sure you tune in, Chris. Thank you again for coming through to the Contractor, the first Contractor AI Summit. We're looking forward to following up on the conversation and catching up with you in the next one. Thanks for watching our video on the Contractor AI Summit, brought to you by Contractor Click. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future updates. Your support helps us continue to bring you valuable content. See you next time.